sinners, and saints. Dust off those horns and halos. It's time for Alan After Dark.
Well, I was born the coal miner's daughter.
What in the hell is this, bitch?
Oh, Jesus Christ. I don't know what came over me just then. Hell's bells. What the fuck was that? Yeah, that was awful, wasn't it? Jesus Christ. Alan, get a grip. Jesus. But it's been a week. I gotta say, sinners and saints, bitches, sluts, whores, ass munchers, mango eaters, finger mingers, etc., etc., etc. Have you just had one of those weeks where everything seems so weird that you just can't really figure out what happened? I was just minding my own business, trying to get my drink on, and this guy sits over from me, and he gives me the look at first, and then he does the eye roll, and I'm like, bitch, what the hell? He reminded me of this incident that happened many years ago where, okay, we didn't have hookup apps and all that stuff, but at one point there was this thing called America Online, and they had these private rooms, private chat rooms, and a lot of them were gay themed, and usually every city in the country, or at least every state, had a chat room, and you would instant message with people that you thought were hot, that were in the chat. And I met this guy through this chat room situation, and he asked me to go to dinner with him. His picture looked good. Everything seemed fine. And I was like, okay, we're coming up on a holiday weekend. I have Friday off and Monday off. So let's go out Thursday night. I get to the restaurant, Texas Roadhouse, by the way. That should have been my first clue, shouldn't it have? Yeah. Anyway, I was there first, and so I decided to stand at the entrance and wait for him. Then I look over, and I see this thing approaching me, and he had a horizontal striped rainbow shirt, and he had on pants with a stretched waistband. He looked nothing like the picture that he had sent me. I don't know why I've never learned that lesson, that people are going to be actually truthful, at least on that minimum level. Anyway, I was like, oh God, he's a liar about how he looks. But it's just dinner, right? It's just dinner. So I'm like, I can get through one dinner. And our conversation through chat was okay. So anyway, we go in, and I'm having trouble getting past the stretchy pants, the elastic waistband thing. But anyway, we sit down and we order, and we're eating, and then we had some conversation, and somehow he started talking about himself, well, kind of like this. He said, well, I guess you can tell that I'm not in as good a shape as I used to be based on my picture. I just kind of waved it off and offered a smile. And he just couldn't stop himself. He continues the conversation like this. Yeah, you know, if I was in as good a shape as I was in that picture, I probably wouldn't give you the time of day.
I'm sorry, what?
Oh, hell no. Thankfully, the server came by, and he's all nice and stuff, and he said, is everything okay? And I was just like, check, please. And the guy goes, I'll get it. And I'm like, there's no way in hell I'm letting you pay for this dinner. So I paid the check, and I just said, I'm out of here. I went down to the bar on a Thursday night, found the hottest guy, and we made out, and it was hot as hell. I just wanted to laugh at this dickhead who had the attitude like he was better than me when he's coming into that restaurant looking like Jabba the Hutt, thinking that he could land something better than this grade A prime. Seriously? But anyway, that's the way I felt about this guy the other night who did that eye roll at me, thinking that I probably didn't see it. Not that I was offering him a smile anyway. He was, what's the word? Well, Jabba the Hutt. How about that? My ears are burning. And if you knew my grandmother, she would say, well, honey, somebody's giving you down the road, meaning somebody was gossiping about me or talking about me. I would be the subject of some type of conversation, but most likely gossip. And that wouldn't surprise me. But I thought, since the last few episodes we've been talking about things from the past, I thought, with my ears burning, which in Southern folklore means that somebody's talking about me, I thought, well, why don't we talk about some of the good old wives' tales that I grew up with and see if you all know them too. I always thought we had some very fascinating wives' tales, old wives' tales for, being in the South. And a lot of it is superstition, but they still can be fun. It is an interesting topic, and it's fun to think about the origins of these kinds of myths. Aside from your ears burning, one of my favorites was having an itchy nose. Back in the good old days, if you had an itching nose, that usually meant that company was coming. But now, the thought of company, somebody being up in my house, that just gives me nightmares, terrors, the shudders, the shakes. I don't want anybody up in my house. I'm just saying. The one old wives' tale that I wish would come true, well, with one parameter, is the old myth about your palms itching palms. If your right palm was itching, it meant you were coming into some money. If your left palm was itching, it meant you were going to be losing money or giving it to someone or somehow losing it. I always would hope for a right itching palm. Didn't they used to say that masturbation would cause hair to grow in your palms of your hands? Am I just making that up, or is that, I think that is it, right? So I was more afraid of itching in the right-handed palm because I'm a right-hand whacker. So if it was itching, that might mean that hair was growing, and if hair grew, people would realize what I was doing.
Oh my God.
What is this?
Oh, the things we believe when we're kids, right? Well, these two that I just described, they're really sort of, they're fun. They're not ones that would really disturb you, I guess. I think we like to think about all of our folklore as being kind of whimsical like that and fun, but there are a lot of old wives' tales, folklore, that are really, really dark. Have you heard the one about a bird being in your house, that it foretells death? So there are some people that are absolutely petrified if a bird flies inside their house. How about the bedhead? Having bedhead? Some people believe that when you wake up with your hair all over your head, that it's a sign that witches came into your room and played tricks on you while you were asleep, including messing up your hair. Of course, this wasn't one of the folklore legends that I'd heard of it, but it wasn't one that anybody in my family believed. But that you shouldn't have your picture taken because the picture captures part of your soul. Also, never leave a rocking chair rocking. There's a belief that when you just get up and leave it rocking, that you're inviting spirits, and they could be good spirits or evil spirits, that you're inviting them into your house. It's some sort of bizarre invitation if you leave the rocking chair rocking. I think my grandmother, if I can remember accurately, this one she wouldn't really want to talk about, but it was how it was in her house. The myth of hanging a mirror by the door, particularly your front door, and it protects against evil. The belief is that if the devil was to come through your front door, he would see his own reflection and become distracted and probably leave. Also, I do remember this one very well. I don't think it happens. Maybe it does. Maybe this is just me not thinking about it clearly. But back in the good old days, or bad old days, if you want to call it that, back in the good old days, people tended to die at home. But if someone died at home, you needed to open a window in that house, and that allowed their spirit to go free. You didn't want it captured and stuck in your home. I guess that would lead to a haunted house, wouldn't it? If you followed that out to a conclusion, if the soul is trapped because there's no open window, then I guess they would be stuck in there haunting the place, right? I don't know if you guys do it, but if you have a loaf of bread, never eat the end parts. If you do, it could lead to you not being able to, quote unquote, make ends meet. That'd be something, wouldn't it? Oh, Lord. And we all know about the like New Year's Eve and New Year's Day traditions, like black eyed peas or good luck. We always would have black eyed peas for our New Year's Day dinner. Always. If you ate them, it would lead to prosperity for the year. I have seen in some neighborhoods, I always wondered what it was, but when you saw bottles up in trees, have y'all ever seen that? Bottle trees, where people who are extremely superstitious believe that you could capture evil spirits in glass bottles and then you could cork the bottle and toss it in the river and let it be washed away. The bottles are up in the trees, from what I understand, to capture these evil spirits. Interesting, isn't it? Bizarre, too, if you ask me. I had never heard this one, but I remember several of my great aunts and uncles doing this. I always thought it was kind of puzzling that they had painted their porch a certain color of blue that really did look like water. And sometimes they would paint their doors blue and even ceilings blue. The belief is that spirits cannot cross water, and this version of blue, spirits would misinterpret it as water and not cross over into your house. That's a weird one that I didn't know, but I did remember how many of my family members had painted their porch floors and things like that. I guess I could go on and on and on, couldn't I? There's just so many things that we have, these myths and superstitions that are very interesting. And it's like part of our tradition. Everything that you can think of, any kind of superstition, I would almost be willing to guarantee that it came out of the South. You know, like things like if you spill salt, you take a pinch of it and throw it over your shoulder. Knock on wood for luck. I remember two of my aunts when we were in the car that if we crossed railroad tracks, you were supposed to lift up your feet. And for the life of me right now at this moment, I cannot remember what that was for. And I do know some people, if you drove past a cemetery, they would cross their fingers. And just like that, crossing your fingers for luck. People cross their fingers also for luck for almost anything. But also, I know people can cross their fingers, and apparently it allows you a bit of safety when you're lying. You won't have as much backlash or karma if you've lied while your fingers were crossed. That's something to think about too, isn't it? Let's just get it out of the way. Let's just bring it out into the open and let's chat about it for just a couple of seconds and be honest. Yes, here in the South, we do have sweet tea. I know that you can go anywhere else in the world, and if you were to dare to order a sweet tea, you would get a look like, what the hell are you talking about? But in a lot of restaurants here, especially the ones that are Southern cooking, you can get tea sweetened already or unsweetened, and you can sweeten it yourself. I have a feeling that lots of Europeans and others, when we say sweet tea and they were to drink it, they wouldn't consider that tea at all, right? But here in the South, it's our house wine, bitches. Okay? Well, me being the fruity little gay that I am, I don't really drink tea anymore. I always drink diet soda. Gotta watch those calories, gotta watch that sugar. Want to have all my teeth, because a lot of people think us Southerners are always barefoot, pregnant, and toothless, dating a cousin, a brother, a sister, or something, keeping it in the family, so to speak.
Yeehaw!
Well, I can't dispute a lot of that, because I kind of heard some stories, but that's a different day, a different conversation, and I am definitely not getting into that situation. This is not going to be the movie Wrong Turn, okay? Even our language and the way we use words and things. I remember being embarrassed one time. I don't know, our teacher was just asking us what certain things were called. And like, for example, a shopping bag, like you get your groceries in. Well, I'm sorry, we used to call it a poke. It was a poke. I don't know where that comes from, but we called it a poke. Fill up your poke and carry it home from the grocery store, whatever. You should have seen the look on my teacher's face when I blurted out poke, and everybody laughed. But they laughed because of her reaction. She wasn't a Southerner. I'm not sure where she was from, but obviously she wanted us to say bag or sack. And when I said poke, and she looked like I had just belched in her face or something, that's what made the kids laugh, because all the kids in our class called it the same damn thing. Okay? Okay. Our language can be really funny and bizarre. Like this morning, I put on a pair of my Calvin Klein underwear, boxer briefs, and damn it, there was a hole in it. And this is a new pair. And I just said out loud, damn it, I've got a hole in my drawers.
Wait, what?
If I said that to a bunch of people not from the South, they'd be like, what do you mean drawers? You mean like on a bureau, dresser drawers, something like that? No, your undies, drawers. We call them drawers. Drop your drawers, bitches. It makes it more fun, doesn't it? And I know, we've had this discussion way back at the beginning of this podcast, way back a year and a half ago, or whenever it was. I am Southern, but I don't really have a Southern accent, even though it does come out sometimes. But there are some people here in the South that their accents are so thick that even other Southerners don't understand them. One day, we were having a discussion, and one of the ladies said, she's eel. And I remember another person going, eel? You mean like the fish? And she goes, eel. And he kept looking at her like, what? And I just said, she means sick. And he looks at her and says, you mean ill? And she said, yeah, ill. Oh, that was just one of those days. But I just happened to get what she meant there. There are so many times that I don't even understand what in the world she's talking about and other people are talking about. I do think that misogyny is absolutely part of culture here, and it's horrible, it's ridiculous, it's stupid. But I'll give you an example. There is someone that I know, his parents, they're wealthy, and his parents really are this bizarre old school thing. Like his mother waits on his father hand and foot. And like, let's say he's having a big old glass of sweet tea and he finishes it. He will rattle his glass at his wife, and she runs and gets him more tea. I'll just say this. If my dad did that to my mom, he would have his whole arm cut off. She would not tolerate shit like that. I guess that probably happens in other places too, where the belief is that women should be subservient to the man. They should be barefoot and pregnant and only working in the house while the man brings home the bacon and she can fry it up in the pan, even though he wouldn't know probably how to fry bacon. Jesus. But hell's bells, if I had a boyfriend who tried to do something like that, he'd be picking himself up off the floor. Nobody's going to order me what to do ever, period. You can request it, you can ask it, but bitch, you're not going to order me like you're some sort of drill sergeant. Did I ever tell you about the time, and I may have, and I apologize if I have, I worked as a server in a gay bar for many, many years. And if y'all don't know it, servers, people that work in retail and in service, they're treated like shit. There are so many Karens and so many attitudes and these behaviors people have toward people who are waiting on them. But this one time, I was running my ass off. It was busier than shit. And I had some friends at a table, and they had some people there as their guests who I didn't know. And this guy, he literally raised his arm and hand up and snapping his fingers at me. Everybody froze, and I turned and looked at him. I put down my tray on the nearest table. I walked right over there. I leaned over that table and got in his face. And I said, listen here, young man. You could have raised your hand and waved at me and just yelled out, excuse me, but don't you ever snap your fingers at me or any other server ever again. You're no better than we are, and that is an insult. And he was like, oh, dude, I'm so sorry. I'm like, all good. You've got good people here at this table with you, and I promise you, when I step away, they're going to give you a talking to, too, because they've worked in service as well. And you should know better than to snap your fingers at anybody as if I can come to you like a dog. You would probably give dogs more respect than you do servers. And that's the truth. So you need to ask yourself, sinners and saints that are listening, how well do you treat people in retail and in service? Are you treating them well? Are you treating them nicely? Are you tipping them nicely? I hope so, because if I find out that you're not, we're going to have words. Lord have mercy, what an episode. It truly is the dog days of summer, isn't it? Should I have said ain't it there? Probably so. But I'm glad you hung out with me today. I've enjoyed hanging out with you and always loving our conversations, our talks. I hope I've made you smile a little bit today, made you think about things, or just scoff at everything and maybe sneeze or something. Allergies are still bad. I'm just saying. But as always, remember, take life by the balls and be real. We'll see you soon.